I'm Afton McKeith and you're watching the Newsroom. In local news, Exeter's high street shops have been taking measures to deter late-night gatherings outside their stores. Sports Direct has installed large steel shutters to block off its lobby when it closes. This comes following incidents of late-night gatherings outside Sports Direct and Tesco Metro. In national news, Brexit continues to dominate our screens. Boris Johnson has unveiled a new offer to Brussels this week at the end of a Tory conference. The proposal, designed to replace the contentious Irish backstop, would see Northern Ireland remain in the EU single market until at least 2025, but leave the EU customs union with the rest of the UK at the end of the transition period in 2021. If all of this Brexit talk has left you confused, worry not, because Jeeves and Alfie are here to help.
Hi there, I'm Ruth and I'm here with Jeeves and Alfie, our political correspondents, and first we're going to talk about Brexit. Now, for all our viewers watching, the situation with Brexit is a bit ambiguous. Can you summarise what is going on?
So the lowdown right now, what's been happening at the moment, this week we've had Boris Johnson come forward with his proposals to replace the backstop. Now, the last 3 months he's been very quiet about what he's been planning, and finally this week he has revealed his hand. So essentially one of his big promises during his leadership campaign was to bin the backstop, as it were. Now, he hasn't necessarily done that here. It's been quite a compromise and quite a concession from the UK here. What he's looking at, instead of having the backstop, which would have kept Northern Ireland in the customs union permanently until a new agreement was forged, that was in the Theresa May deal that was voted down 3 times, as Alfie's going to elaborate on later. This new proposal is quite interesting, actually. So essentially, Northern Ireland would stay in a customs union for agricultural goods and other specific goods that they've picked out that will be affected by this. And then the Northern Irish Assembly would actually have to approve this before it went ahead. Now, the Northern Irish Assembly is dissolved at the moment, so we don't know quite how it's going to play out. Presumably, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland would be given that approval as he does at the moment, but that would be something that we'd have to speak about and look out for in the future. And then going forward, presumably when the Assembly comes back, they'd have to approve it every 4 years. So they have to keep giving it an approval, just so that it doesn't go on for forever, and just so that the people of Northern Ireland are happy with the proposal. Because actually, even though that the DUP that currently support the government in their kind of confidence and supply agreement, they don't agree with the backstop.
Why have the negotiations taken so long?
I think the answer to this question ultimately, as ever with politics, is going to depend on where you sit politically. All I can try and do is give a middle of the way kind of idea as to why we've got here and why it's taken so long. So one of the first things that obviously happened was that the UK voted to leave the European Union in June 2016. After that, the government chose not to trigger Article 50, which is the mechanism that means any member state can leave the European Union. They chose not to trigger that until the following March of 2017, so they could properly formulate a plan for what their negotiating objectives were, and then trigger it and start negotiations with the European Union. So along came March 2017, and Theresa May triggered Article 50. She then began negotiating with the EU, which took a period of about 1.5 years. By December 2018, they finally reached an agreement after Theresa May sat her cabinet down in July 2018 and finally thrashed out a plan for what the future relationship would look like. To many, that was far too late to leave it at that point in the negotiation, but they did finally sit down and work out a coherent cabinet position. So that was put to the EU. Like I said, they then agreed the formal text of a withdrawal agreement in December 2018. That was then put to Parliament in December, January, and I think again March, and was unfortunately defeated all 3 times in spectacular fashion. And then whilst the majority increased with each vote, she couldn't get it through at all. So then Theresa May was forced to seek an extension from the EU, which set back our departure date from March 2019 to October 2019. She then entered into 6 weeks of negotiations with Jeremy Corbyn and other opposition parties to really try and thrash out a compromise position. That, again, did not work, and so she was then left with absolutely no option other than to resign. So then came the Conservative Leadership contest, which took 2 months again out of the process, and then we have Boris Johnson, who was elected at the end of that, And as Jeeves said, within the last week, he has only just revealed the legal text of the negotiating objectives he wants with the European Union. So that gives us 3 weeks until exit day now. And so, yeah, that's a whistle-stop tour of how we've got here. And I'm sure it doesn't end with October the 31st at this rate.
So do you think it's important that younger people are more active in politics? Greta Thunberg is one of the main people we see nowadays. Do you think that is a good thing?
I think absolutely yes, especially with the issue of climate change, which is disproportionately going to affect the younger generation. I think it speaks volumes that someone so young, someone whose second language is English, someone who has Asperger's, is articulating herself so well on the global stage and speaking for millions across the world, regardless of what country we're from. Because at the end of the day, climate change really should be an issue that unites all of us, because it's going to affect all of our lives, regardless of our gender, sexuality, race, religion. It's going to affect us all, so we all need to do something about it. So I think it's great, in my perspective, that someone so young is galvanising people on a global scale to get involved with politics, because historically it's always been a sphere that younger people are disenfranchised from, and often rightly so, given all the complexities of Brexit we've just been talking about. So yeah, I absolutely think it is very much a positive and should be encouraged.
And we've spoken about how Brexit is a bit of a mammoth issue for a lot of people at the moment, and it is, a lot of people are fed up with it. But I think one of the best things that we've seen, as a result of Brexit, is youth turnout and youth engagement in politics has absolutely just gone up massively. Everybody is talking about Brexit, and that might not be a good thing, but young people are talking about politics more than they ever have before, and it is absolutely fantastic to see. And it gives me hope that in the future, actually, young people will potentially go into politics more. We'll see people from much wider backgrounds in politics going forward, just because they're much more involved, they're much more engaged. I think it really opens up the debate to, should we be lowering the voting age to 16, for example, and should there be compulsory youth education in politics? I am aware of politics mainly because of my government politics A-level. I'm sure you're the same.
Exactly.
But we have that, and obviously studying at university, but it should be a right that everybody has to know about politics and to be able to make an informed decision at the ballot box. And it's something that maybe we should be looking at in the future when we finish with all this mess of Brexit.
Yes. So you do think younger people should be more active in politics?
Absolutely, and I think that we see it in Scotland at the moment, where young people can vote at the age of 16 in Scottish elections, and they did in the in-out referendum on Scottish independence in 2014. And the 16 to 18-year-olds are one of the most active groups in that referendum. So it actually makes you think, if 16-year-olds could have voted in the EU referendum here, would that have made a difference at all?
I think, it goes back definitely to the issues we're talking about. So both Brexit and climate change, two of the biggest things certainly on the UK's agenda right now. That's disproportionately going to have an effect, positive or negative, whatever your view is, on the younger generation. And so I think it's so important that the voting age is lowered to take account of that. But not just because of the developments that have happened recently. If younger people are able to vote, I think it would definitely enfranchise far more people to get involved with politics. Because right now, you only have to wait. You have to wait until you're 18. So there's no motivation there to get involved unless you passionately care about an issue. Whereas I think if you had the vote or mandated to vote with compulsory voting, it would really flip the table on what we've seen so far. And I believe definitely people in this country are definitely up for that.
And finally, can you give us any predictions on what's going to happen?
What a question. So I think I would say that the EU will probably come back with a compromise. They won't just outright reject it, because that would look like bad, and everyone does want to get this done. So I think the EU will come back with a compromise at the EU Council Summit on the 17th of October. Boris Johnson will take this back to Parliament, and I think Parliament will reject it. I really don't think he's going to get it through, just because he's alienated so many people. At that point, I think we are looking at a situation where Boris will probably try to call an election again. That will also probably get rejected until there's some sort of extension secured. I think if we do get an extension secured, he will potentially try to call the election and maybe get it through. But I think the most likely outcome at this point actually is that MPs will take control of the order paper again, as they have done before, and legislate for a second referendum.
Okay, so my view for the next couple of weeks is a bit more pessimistic than Jeeves. I do not believe that the EU will come back with a compromise solution. Boris Johnson's proposals, while they do go some way to facilitating some of the concerns that people have had with the Northern Irish issue, there still essentially is going to be border infrastructure, whether that's at the border or further back, a couple of miles further back. So I do not believe that the EU are going to accept that at all. It won't be acceptable to Ireland. So I believe we then go into a situation where Boris Johnson is compelled by the Benn Act to write a letter requesting an extension from the EU. That extension is secured, and he then goes to the country saying that MPs in Westminster have forced him to secure this extension, and he fights that election on, tell the politicians again that you want to leave the EU, and that will very much be the campaign that we see in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Jeeves and Alfie. Back to the studio.
Thanks for that illuminating insight into politics. Up next, Lily Carter is here to take us down to the cricket courts and see what our Ladies Cricket Club have got planned this term.
It's been a fantastic summer for cricket with the Ashes on and England winning the World Cup. I'm here at Exeter Sports Park to see how our very own ladies cricket team is getting on. Let's go see what they're up to. I'm with Amy here, Exeter Ladies Cricket Club captain. So Amy, how long have you been involved with cricket yourself?
So I've been playing since I was 9 and I'm now 21, so about 12 years.
A long time, yeah. And you're club captain, obviously. This year, have you got any ideas for how to progress the club? New ideas for how it might improve from last year?
So this year we're introducing monthly welfare sessions. So in the evening, it'll be focused around welfare. So for example, on Monday, it's about settling into university, and we've kind of got a family scheme going on. So particularly things to do with kind of making people feel comfortable and happy, and focusing on mental well-being a lot through sport.
And as a third year, you've obviously been through the experience of being a fresh yourself, moving away from home. How have you found that joining the cricket club helped you settle in and help with your mental well-being?
Yeah, massively. Largely because of the people that are around you. So I've made a lot of my close friends through cricket, and obviously exercise is really good for your mental health. So it's a combination of factors really, but largely friends and exercising.
Sounds good. So I've also heard that this year there's going to be a women's varsity. Now, there has been a men's cricket varsity in the past, but not a women's one. Do you think this reflects the growing interest in women's cricket or just the growth of the club generally?
Yeah, both, definitely. So women's cricket's really on the up. As for the last couple of years, we've had the Women's Super League, which has been a massive success. And yeah, the club's grown. From when I joined my first year, we're talking kind of 20, 30 members. And now we've got about 65 members. So definitely bigger interest in women's cricket.
So Amy, can you run me through what exercise is going on here?
So we're currently playing hand hockey. So the theme for this week is throwing. So it just gets people moving around and start basics with the throwing.
I'm here with Holly, the cricket club's development coach. So Holly, can you tell me, how does a typical week work? When are the sessions and how often do they run?
So we have 3 groups this year. So we've got our club session, which is for everybody. They're on a Monday 6 to 8 and a Thursday 6 to 8, which is great because it means that everyone can attend them after lectures. Then we have our development squad, which are like cricketers who have played a bit of cricket before but are still wanting to progress. And they're on a Tuesday and a Friday, 1:30 till 3:30. And then we have our HPP girls, which is our high performance girls. We have 3 training sessions a week, 2 gym sessions, and then some running, some fitness stuff, and quite a bit of movement skills too.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've got a pretty busy schedule and lots to cater for different abilities. So is it true that anybody can join? You don't need to have played cricket before to get involved?
Yeah, so in our club sessions, we've got loads of girls who have never played cricket before. We start on softball, teach all the fundamentals, basics, and then progress everybody onto hardball. And like our social sex from last year are great advocates because both of them only started playing cricket when they turned up last September, and they both represented the second team. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, so there's good progression rates throughout the club. Oh, sounds really cool. And have you got any events coming up this term or next term?
So we've got our indoor competition on the 18th of October, which we've got our 1s and our 2s playing in. Fingers crossed we're going to get through to the finals day. Yeah. And then we've just got loads of social stuff together, everything throughout the term. But yeah, our main focus this term is our indoor competition.
So I'm with Susanna, who's in her first year and is new to the cricket club. So how are you finding your experience of the club so far?
It's really good. Everyone's really friendly. The socials are always great fun. Been on 3 of them and they've been really great. It's nice to have kind of something to come to in the evening and kind of like relax after lectures and things. It's just really good fun.
So have you found it quite a good way to make friends sort of outside of your halls and that kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. Like outside of halls, in different years. It's really nice to just kind of mingle with different people. So yeah.
So I'm with Ellie, another first year. You've joined cricket for the first time. Why did you choose this club out of all the others?
So I played cricket for quite a number of years before now. I took a little break for a couple of years, but I've always wanted to get back into it, and I knew some of the girls before, so it was a really friendly, welcoming club, so that's why I wanted to join, yeah.
Oh, it sounds really good. And how have you found it in terms of getting back into? Have you found the exercises are helping you progress your skills and refresh your memory?
100%, yeah, I think because they've got the club sessions that we've got now, and then you've got the development and HPP sessions, so doesn't matter what standards of cricket you play before, play now, it's for everyone, so yeah, it's just really fun. Yeah.
Sounds good. And what are you most looking forward to throughout the rest of this year?
I'd say just kind of getting to know new people, picking up the cricket again, and just kind of enjoying and having fun, really.
So I'm hoping today maybe I can have a little go myself. Do you know what the plan is for the rest of the session and if there's anything that I can get involved in?
So as I said, the theme is throwing, and we're going to do a few kind of technique-based skills and drills, so definitely can get involved in practicing your throwing.
Fab, okay, let's go and give it a go. So as you can see, it didn't get off to the best start. Maybe it's a bit harder than it looks, but I'm going to give it another go and keep practicing.
I'm starting to get low as I come towards it, yeah? I'm in a low position to pick it up with 2 hands or 1 hand, and the ball leaves my hand straight away.
Improving. So that's the end of the cricket session. That concludes our sport feature for the week. It's been good fun. I definitely need some more practice though, and we'll be back next week following another sport. See you then.